Okay, hello. Welcome back to another video. My name is Chelsea. This video is my April TBR. I am super excited for this month. I have several of new releases coming out in the month of April that are some of my most anticipated books of the year. So I'm really excited to go through this. I also have a few books and different new series that I've been meaning to get to that I think I'll be able to do this month. So I'm really excited. Don't mind this new room. We just recently moved, so this is a new space. I don't know if this is where I'm going to be filming forever, but for today we're in here. So let's jump right in. So we have a new Emily Henry book coming out this month. Funny story, looks awesome. Emily Henry is one of my favorite authors. She wrote Beach Read, which is one of my favorite contemporary romances ever. I really just love her books and her characters. All of her books I've really liked in some way or another. This one just sounds like a lot of fun. I've tried not to read too much about it because I really kind of want to go in blind. But I know we have fake dating, which is one of my favorite tropes. And it sounds like more of an opposites attract type of romance. But usually her romances are funny and sweet and just really like passion filled. So I'm super excited. It comes out near the end of the month, so I'm gonna have to wait a little longer. So I'll be able to read it in the month of April. We have another one of my favorite authors, Abby Jimenez, has a book coming out this month called Just for the Summer. This is another fake dating trope, which I love. I'm here for it. And I know spring just started, but I'm already ready for summer, and this looks like summer vibes all over the place. And in this book, it sounds like we have a guy who dates women, and then as soon as they break up, the woman goes on and immediately meets her soulmate. So we have a girl that kind of sounds like she's going to be dating him for the same purposes, but they might actually fall in love over the summer. Sounds really great. Like I said, I love Abby Jimenez's writing so much. Yours Truly was one of my favorite books last year, so this is a highly anticipated release. Hopefully this and the Emily Henry book, I'm assuming, will be 5 stars. I'm scared to even say that out loud, but we'll see. I'm very excited for both of these books. And then, of course, we have the second book in the Mortal Fates series. This is called The Throne of Honor and Blood by J. Bree. I love J. Bree. I loved this first book so much, The Crowns of Oaths and Curses. And then I read The Sword and the Scepter, the 2 prequel novellas to this. I really love this world. It's a slow burn, enemies to lovers romance. We didn't get really any of the lovers parts or the romance. We didn't really get any of the romance in the first book, but I think this second book will have that. We have Rook, badass, one of my favorite new female characters this year. She's a witch, she's a badass fighter, she's a healer, she's all around the best. And then we have our prince, our Fae prince, who hates her, but at the end, who hates her and treated her so horribly in this first book. But he had his reasons. Anywho, at the end of the last book, she kind of proved herself to him, so hopefully there'll be some romance happening in this story. But basically, that first book did such a good job at setting up our characters, the world, the bad guy, the magical systems. They are fated mates, and I love that we know that going in, that they have to be together, even though they're from such separate areas of life. The Fae hate the witches and, you know, threw her in the dungeons, and she wasn't really allowed to partake, even though she was helping healing them. But she's a witch, and her whole family and coven were killed in the prequel, and she ran away from her fates for several years and was fighting in a war and developed all of her skills and magic abilities. And now she's back, and she's trying to help heal not only the land that's been completely destroyed, but try to win this war and try to help the Fae and their people, because they don't have any healers. And the prince, part of his fate is that he has to marry his mate in order to even become king and become this ruler. So that was a great setup. And like I said, no romance in there just yet because they really hated each other. But J. Bree writes like enemies to romance. J. Bree writes like enemies to lovers so well that I'm really excited for this book, because it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next with them. Okay, and then also this month we have A Promise of Peridot by Kate Golden, and this is the sequel to The Dawn of Onyx, which is a book I read late last year and really, really liked. It's another fantasy romance. In that book, we had a young girl who was taken captive by the King of Onyx, and he wanted to keep her because she has healing abilities and she helps, heal the soldiers, and there's a war going on. This book had a lot of fun banter. There's fae, there's magic. It was really, really a fun story and a really good start to a series. She's being held prisoner and she tries to escape a few times. She befriends another prisoner, and there's this really great, again, a really great enemies to lovers, slow burn type romance happening. So I'm really excited for this second one. Like I said, I read this at the end of last year, so I've actually been waiting months for this book to come out, and I'm so glad we're finally here. So now that's all the new releases I believe I have. So let's get to some of the series that I'm really looking forward to starting at least the first book of, and then if I really like them, maybe I'll read a couple of them because a few of these are longer series. Up first, we have Flawless by Elsie Silver. I've been really wanting to start this series for a while. This is a contemporary romance series. I've seen it a bunch on YouTube for the last couple years, and people seem to rave about these books. This is the first book in the Chestnut Springs series. And I believe in this series we're in this small town, and each book's going to be following a specific couple. And in this first book, we have Rhett, who is a professional bull rider, but his image is falling apart because of a public incident. So we have a girl, her name is Summer. She is going to be helping get his reputation back, and he doesn't really want to be babysat by her. So it looks like there's going to be some conflict there, but I'm really excited. I heard so many good things about this series, so I'm really excited to get started with it. Okay, so I have several fantasy romance series that have been on my radar for a little while. I'm hoping to get into a few of them this month as well. The first one is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. And I've been seeing this series everywhere. I believe it's a slow burn, enemies to lovers type romance, which I love. I really don't want to read too much about any of these. I kind of want to go in blind. At this point, they all have at least like 3 or 4 books. So that would be so fun to find like a new beloved fantasy romance series. It's all I ever really want. So Spark of the Everflame, definitely want to read that. Then we have Lady of Darkness, which is a book I almost picked up a couple of months ago because I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, and I didn't get a chance to, but I've been hearing so many good things about this series as well. I hear it compared to like Throne of Glass a lot, because I think we have another like trained assassin protagonist, which is super fun. Again, this is a enemies to lovers fantasy romance. This is the first book in a series, so I'm hoping I'll like it a lot, and then I will continue with it. And then another series I've been seeing everywhere is the Legends of Vesmar series by Helen Schuler. The first book is called Blood and Steel. I'm hoping to read this as well. This is a fantasy romance series. And in the synopsis, I love this line so much. It says, if you like fierce, sword-wielding heroines and brooding, tortured heroes, you will devour this sexy, addictive fantasy adventure. Literally, if you could write one sentence to pique my interest, like that's exactly what I want out of a fantasy romance series. So I'm really have high hopes for this one in particular. So I can't wait to get into that and hopefully read. I believe there's 3 books in the series out, so hopefully I will like that as well. Okay, and then the next one I'm hoping to get into has been on my shelf for a few months now, and it's a little more of a cozy fantasy, which I like sometimes. I don't always need the really high, intense, action-packed fantasies, but I've heard such good things about this one too. So it's The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I'm excited for this one. It sounds very sweet. It sounds like we're following a caseworker for the magical Department of Youth, and he is assigned to go to this strange island where there is an orphanage with a master who will do anything to keep these kids safe. And it just sounds like a very sweet fantasy love story. So I'm definitely excited to read this month as well. And then last but not least, I'm hoping to get through the 3rd book of the Kingdom of Lies series by Stasia Stark. This one is called A Crown This Cold and Heavy. The first book was called A Court This Cruel and Lovely, and I really love our main characters in this story. We have Preska and Lorien. So this is the third book, so I don't want to spoil too much. But in the first book, we had Preska, who was hiding her magical abilities. This was a world where the king, you're born with powers, but as a baby, that power is taken away. And then once you're 25, some of your powers is given back to you, but there's these corrupt that have powers anyway, even though that was taken away. And Preska is one of those people, and she was hiding in this village for a long time. But then she gets found out, so she has to go on the run, basically. She runs into these mercenaries, and Lorien is one of these mercenaries, and they really don't like each other at first. He basically leaves her for dead. And then basically he finds out what magical ability she does have. So he agrees to keep her safe and train her as long as she helps him with what he's trying to do. And then the story kind of just goes from there. There's a lot of like political intrigue in this story, an amazing enemies to lovers romance. There's a lot going on. Now in the third book, there's a lot of like war and stuff happening, and we've gone to a lot of different countries and met a lot of new people and a lot of new characters and different love interests and different things that are happening. So I'm really excited to keep reading this story. I think there's a fourth book coming out. I'll have to look that up of when, hopefully at some point this year. But I've been really loving this series thus far. So this third book I hope will be just as good. So there you have it. Those are all the books that I want to read in the month of April. If you made it to this far in the video, please leave a little sword or dagger in the comments. That's fun. For all the fantasy romance I'm going to be reading this month. Very exciting. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it. And then I'll see you guys in the next video.